Dreams are a funny thing. Usually when you're in one, you can't tell what's real and what is not. There are scary dreams, weird dreams, funny dreams, but at the end of the day, you still wake up from all of them. The Indigo Parallel is like a dream that you cannot wake up from. You go into one room, then you go into another, completely different from the last. Then, to be sent back right to the start. I've played around 3 or 4 hours of this game, and yet I still find things that I didn't know were there. In the Indigo Parallel, you follow the world of a man named Thomas. Thomas is just like any of us. He works his 9-to-5 desk job and comes home to his wife Daisy. Except, there's something wrong with Thomas. You see, these worlds we're walking into, this path we're following, isn't a dream for Thomas. It's his reality. And the unfortunate truth of what Thomas has done is revealed the further and further we venture into it. I stumbled upon the Indigo Parallel completely by accident. I was told to play the game LSD Dream Emulator, and if you know that game, then you would know it's quite weird. You see, I didn't know where to download the game, so I searched for LSD Dream Emulator on Steam, and surprise, surprise, it did not show up. However, the Indigo Parallel did. It looked just intriguing enough for me to buy it, so I went along and did just that. When I booted the game up for the first time, it wasn't at all what I was expecting. From the screenshots on the Steam page, the game makes itself out to be this acid trip of an adventure, which it is. However, when you first start playing, it almost seems like an alien space game of some sort. You spawn in this little pod and are scanned by security cameras, and after that, you walk outside, press a button, and you are immediately confronted with a choice. Do you want to go left or do you want to go right? You see, it doesn't really matter because you're going to end up back here at some point or another, so you might as well take the path that your heart tells you to. Taking the left path will lead you to a room with a bunch of weird metal objects, and taking the right path will lead you to a decontamination chamber of sorts. It'll have you scan your keycard and punch in a few numbers to a computer. The door will then open and you're able to take a train to the next area. A mining facility. Makes sense so far, right? You continue to go further in the mine and have to do a small puzzle. Take this ball, put it in that hand, then bam, secret doorway. You press on to find a giant drill, and using this drill you can open up a wall, and behind the wall is an artifact. Placing the artifact on the stand in the center of the room will activate a green portal. Still following? Going into the green portal, you find a room with a few more puzzles and a bunch of strange looking statues. After finishing that room, you enter into the next one, and it's a movie theater. Yep, this whole thing we just did was apparently an attraction. Or was it? The whole game is like this, a bunch of rooms, usually with little to no connection, leading you from one psychedelic trip to the next. This world that we walk through is the inner psyche of Thomas. Finding this long bridge and walking to the end allows us to make another decision, and when selecting one of them, we are told that Thomas created a world that he could explore.
I want to tell you a story about a man named Tom. He is a simple person. He goes to work, eats, shits, and sleeps. One day, Tom had an idea. He wanted to create a world. Not just any world, but one that he can explore by himself. So he started writing. He would write so much his hands would bleed. He became obsessed. He stopped going to work. He stopped eating. He stopped sleeping. When he finished writing, he thought to himself, "What did I create?" He looked down at all the pages with his writings and they were all blank. He created nothing. So, he did the most logical thing. He opened the window to his apartment and jumped.
Thomas seems to have some sort of disability, maybe schizophrenia, or perhaps dissociative identity disorder. In the bamboo level, I'll call it, you walk around finding mushrooms and picking them up plays dialogue. This dialogue directly correlates to Thomas's mental illness. It seems this is also where Thomas's and Daisy's relationship starts to kind of spiral out of control.
The psychologist told me I had a mental disorder. I told the psychologist, no, I am just different. No, Daisy, I will not take those pills. Those pills are killing me. Daisy is a problem. Daisy is my only problem.
As you can see, after Thomas stops taking his normal pills, he begins to go a little crazy and begins to hate Daisy for trying to make him take his pills so he doesn't go insane. And I think this world was created to help him cope with his mental illness. Through the game, eyes follow you wherever you go, and these eyes will sometimes speak. They talk about Thomas, but they are not him. These eyes are most likely Daisy, Thomas's girlfriend. Maybe they're not actually her, but they speak dialogue that she has spoken either to Thomas or to the people around her. It is through this dialogue that we can get more information on what has happened between the two of them.
Did he buy me a ring? God, I hope not. I can't sleep with him around. His other personality scares me. He snapped when I slept in a separate bed. I would cry for hours and he would not care. All I know is abuse, which is why I put up with Tom for so long. I knew I had to leave him, I just don't know how.
Daisy and Thomas's relationship is obviously failing or has already failed. For a moment, let's rewind back to the start. This time, let's take the left path. Like I said, a bunch of metal objects, except there's also two switches we can flick. Flicking the one on the right takes us to a quite big woodsy area where we can run around until we find all the light beacons to power on. Once doing so, we're brought to the hallway room, and after doing a little more exploration, it leads us to an office space, and it's here where we get some more information about who Tom is, or who he was.
This is the story of a man named Tom. Tom worked for a company in a big building and he was employee number 6174. His only job was to walk in the door on his left. Tom entered the door to his left. It was the door into his office. But something was different. The light in his room was a different color and his computer screen was blue, with the text "Press any key to begin." Tom pressed a key on the computer screen and a weird face appeared on it. Why did this happen? Why was the face so weird? Why is his computer acting like this? Then Tom remembered one important thing. That he is playing a game. Not just any game, but he was playing the Indigo Parallel, so of course a weird face would appear on his computer screen. Tom also realized that if he is playing a game, his actions have no real-world consequences. Tom can do whatever he wants, without any repercussions, because this is a simulation after all. After a heated conversation with Daisy, Tom picked up a knife. Tom woke up covered in blood, next to Daisy's lifeless body. It's just a simulation, right? I didn't actually do this, he thought to himself. I just need to wake up from this simulation. But there was no simulation. There never was a simulation.
So, yes, according to the narrator, Thomas most likely killed Daisy. However, maybe he didn't? It's hard to know for 100% sure. This game throws a lot of metaphors at you. Not only that, but it also likes to try to deceive you. It's possible to hear one thing from the narrator, maybe you'll hear another thing from Daisy, and then another thing that contradicts that from Thomas. In one of the final rooms, we get the first of 3 endings. There are 2 giant heads. This first red one I suspect to be Tom. One, because of the way he talks about Daisy.
Oh, Daisy, where are you? I love you, Daisy. I miss you so much, Daisy.
And 2, in that bamboo level that I talked about earlier, Tom says he enjoys smacking a katana against his face to feel something.
Bashing my head with a katana makes me feel something.
Which this is most likely relating to. Going past that though, there's also another giant head, which is almost certainly Daisy. She's pleading for Tom to take his pills, because maybe she knew that one day Tom would snap. Snap so bad that he would do something he would later regret. And without his pills, he did just that.
Your pills. I don't like you when you are like this. If you want to make this work, please, take your pills. Tom, please take your pills.
However, I'm not totally convinced that Daisy is dead, and I say this only because of one thing. After achieving all 3 endings, we are taken out of maybe the simulation or the dream world into what I presume is reality, or who knows, maybe it's just in Tom's head. Anyways, in this area, we hear more dialogue from Daisy, and after finding the red key and inserting it over here, the area changes with some colorful lights. And there's this thing. It looks like some sort of higher power or godly entity.
My child, it is so good to see you. I want to thank you for coming here. You are my soul, the light in my life. I want you to forgive Tom for what he did to me. You can now loop endlessly in this world. I will talk to you with my eyes and you will hear. When you are lonely, look for me. I love you. Now go in peace.
Maybe this is Daisy, or this is what Tom sees Daisy as after he murdered her. I do think Thomas probably killed Daisy. There's more reason to believe this because Chris, the dev, was kind enough to send Daisy's audio files to me. If we look at some of them, they say this.
Where am I? I am cold and alone. I am hurting inside. My death was too sudden. He hid my body in the most obvious place, and still, no one found me. Does anyone care that I am here?
Like I said, I'm not totally convinced because of the angel thing, and also the game deceives you. Hell, there's even an audio clip here that says there's no story to the game, and people should stop looking for one.
This game has no story, so stop looking for one.
However, I never really found these audio clips in-game, so perhaps they were just scrapped, I'm really not sure. The Indigo Parallel is an interesting game, a game with a lot of secrets and environments to explore. This video really doesn't do the game justice, so if anything here sounded interesting, head on over to Steam and pick this game up. It's only like 12 bucks. I'll put the link in the description, and I think you definitely get your money's worth. I decided just to focus on the more obvious narrative elements of the game because the actual gameplay is more like a walking sim with puzzles, and I felt like it would have been difficult to explore everything here today. But anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment below on the next game I should investigate. That's all for today. Take care, boys.